my channel before, you've probably seen videos about books and you've seen videos about baking. Well, today I decided why not combine them both and make a baking and books video series. And what better time to start than at Christmas, when it is the best time to be in the kitchen baking. And so today I'm going to introduce you to a book and a recipe. And when I chose today's book, the recipe I wanted to do came immediately to me. It's one I've used for years. It's one of my favorites. It's called Pecan Pie Cookies. And the book is called The Nutcracker Suite by Chautona, Havig. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. If somebody knows how to pronounce it, please put it in the comments for me. First, I'm going to start with the cookie, and then when we're shaping the cookie, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the book. So for pecan pie cookies, you need 1 cup of firmly packed brown sugar and 3/4 cups of butter, softened. Now, generally I use unsalted butter because the recipes have salt in them. Now this one doesn't, but that's okay. I'm still using unsalted butter. So I've got in here my butter and my brown sugar, and I'm going to mix those up. Once you have that creamed together, you're going to want to add 1 egg and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then you're going to go ahead and beat it again. And you'll want to scrape the sides of the bowl and things like that so that all of the cookie ingredients get mixed well together and you don't have like clumps of some of it that hasn't got incorporated together. And once it's well mixed, we're going to go ahead and add flour and baking powder and mix again until everything is incorporated together. Now we need 1 teaspoon baking powder. Even though you see me doing 2, it's a 1/2 teaspoon because my other one has vanilla in it and I don't want the baking powder to stick. So I just went with a smaller spoon. And then you're going to want 2 cups of flour. Just dump those right in. And in just a minute, once we get it mixed, our cookies will be ready to shape, and we'll talk about the Nutcracker Suite. Once your dough is mixed, it should look something like this. And now we're going to shape it. It does say to bake it in a preheated oven at 350 and to put it on an ungreased cookie sheet. I still like to use a sheet of parchment on mine, so I've already prepared that pan. But before we start shaping our cookies, I'd like to show you a picture of the book that we're talking about. It is The Nutcracker Suite by Chautona Havig. And also, before I begin shaping my cookies, I'm going to put some gloves on because this is the part where I'm actually touching the food that I'm making. And I am making this for other people, so I do want to be cautious and wear my gloves. So you're going to shape these into 1.5 inch balls. Oh, I'm sorry, 1.25 inch balls, so barely above an inch. I am never good at judging these, so I'm going to get a ruler and check. You don't have to be that particular. I like to make sure that I'm going to get out of it what the recipe says. So yes, this is about the size ball that you need. And you're going to put them 2 inches apart on your prepared cookie sheet, which is either ungreased or lined with parchment paper, whichever you prefer. I always like to give it just a little extra room. I don't like to have a batch of cookies come out of the oven and it's ruined because I had them too close together and they bled into each other. So I always try and give it a little extra room. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to talk a little bit about the book. So The Nutcracker Suite is a historical fiction. It's a mystery, and it takes place in the 1920s, which is really fun. I loved the setting. You have all that interesting language that we don't hear, all the little slang words and things like that that they use. You have the mob and rum running and speakeasies and things like that in that time, and I think it's just a really fun, interesting time. It is a retelling of the Nutcracker and the Mouse King, and so There's a whole series of these books that are done that way where they're fairy tale retellings. I don't know that they're all set in that same 1920s time period, but it makes for a really interesting book. For someone who's never read The Nutcracker and the Mouse King, I can't tell you how closely it follows the plot line or anything like that. I've never even seen the Nutcracker ballet, so I really don't know what to tell you on that part of it. But the characters are really interesting. I loved Milo and Clarice. They're both likable characters. Milo has that tough guy with the soft center kind of vibe going, which is really enjoyable in the story. And the mystery that takes place keeps you interested, keeps you turning the pages to find out who committed the crime, and can Milo and Clarice come out of this okay, and can they come out of it with each other? And so I really suggest you go out and get the Nutcracker Suite by Chautona Havig and give it a try this Christmas. It's a really good one. And if you want to give these pecan pie cookies a try as well and heat up a cup of hot chocolate, it'll be the perfect snack to go along with the Nutcracker Suite. So right now I have my cookie tray, and I'm going to bring it up a little closer because what I need to do, right now there's nothing pecan pie about these cookies. So what we have to do is fill them, and so I want to bring this closer so that you can tell what I'm going to do. Each cookie I'm going to take, it says to use your thumb. I prefer using a teaspoon, the back of a rounded teaspoon. I make an indentation in each of the cookies. It's a little well that we're going to put the filling in. So before we can put the filling in it, we have to actually make the filling. So here you see I've got all of my cookies with their indentations in them, and we're going to start our filling recipe. So I previously got 1 cup of chopped pecans. We're going to put that in a bowl. Add to it 1 firm packed cup of powdered sugar. Oh, I'm sorry, it is not 1 cup, it is 1/2 cup. And if it is hard, you will want to break it up as you put it in so that you don't have chunks of the brown sugar. Even though you're packing it tightly, you do want to get it loosened up and easy to mix when you put it in your pecans. And so to the 1 cup of pecans and the 1/2 cup of brown sugar, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. So 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. And I will tell you, usually I'm a stickler for using a liquid measuring cup to measure liquids and dry measuring cup to measure dry stuff. But my cup is too big and doesn't have a 1/4 cup on it, so I have to kind of give on that one today. And once you have those, we're going to combine them. We just have to get them all mixed together. And I'm going to bring this a little closer so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to put 1 rounded teaspoon in each of our little wells that we've made in our cookies. It will kind of overflow them. Try and keep them as much in the well as possible. As they spread, it will flatten out. It won't be like a pile of nuts and whipping cream on the top of the cookie anymore. But you do want to try and keep it in the center as much as possible. You don't want the rounded teaspoon to be too full because you do still have to get 36 servings out of this. So not like a heaping, overflowing teaspoon, just a little bit above the top. And we're gonna bake these for 8 to 12 minutes until they're lightly browned. We'll cool them for 1 minute and then take them off, but I'm gonna slide these in the oven and we'll be back just as soon as they are ready to come out. I do wanna show you them before they go in. So I just pulled the first batch of pecan pie cookies out of the oven, and here's what they look like. I hope you'll try this recipe and try the book, The Nutcracker Suite by Chautona Havig, and I bet both of them will become a regular in your Christmas traditions. Merry baking and happy reading.